Know how to talk to the people around you. Read a room. I just been having a pretty intense day at my day job, and the words of Jesus as he talks to Pilate are coming through so strongly. I'm just going to start here at 35, a little bit into Jesus and Pilate's interaction in chapter 18. Pilate says, "I'm not a Jew, am I?" Pilate replied, "Your own nation and the chief priests handed you over to me. What have you done?" And Jesus replied, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so I wouldn't be handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." And yet, it's Pilate that goes in front of the Jews, including some of the religious leaders, and he presents Jesus as, "Here is your king." He has a crown put on him and a purple robe put on him to instigate the religious leaders and the Jewish people who were there, saying that Jesus was blaspheming. But then there's an interesting moment later on in this interaction with Pilate and Jesus where the Jews say he has claimed to be the Son of God. He has made himself the Son of God. Pilate runs back to Jesus afraid, and he says, "Who are you and where have you come from?" And Jesus declares to him that no authority could be given to Pilate if it was not given from above. And from that moment, Pilate fearfully sought to have Jesus released, but the fear of the people initially overtook him. Pilate wasn't afraid because he thought Jesus was Yahweh or Yahweh's son. He was afraid because in that culture, the concept of Zeus and these other Greek gods, these false deities, were deep in the people's minds in this culture. Pilate would have feared, naturally as a man in that culture, that Jesus was a Herculean type figure, come from someone like Zeus, and that he was a god as man in flesh. Jesus, however, changes and flips the script, where he, donning flesh, gives up his divinity to be on earth in flesh, and therefore submits to Yahweh, who is the God of all flesh, as Jeremiah tells us, but yet is Yahweh himself as his word split off into his own man. We need to learn how to read a room, to talk to people in a way that Jesus demonstrates for us in the scriptures. Paul, another time, goes to a group of people who have an unknown God in a temple dedicated to them. And Paul says, "This unknown God that you don't know, I know him, and it's my God who created the heavens and the earth." Encounter people where they're at. If you're an atheist, this will resonate, and if you're a Christian, this will resonate. You have to talk to people and meet them where they're at, because if you talk to them expecting them to meet you where you're at, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to cause a lot of hurt. And as Christians, when we make church hurt people, it turns them away from Jesus. The church is not Jesus. We're followers of him, being called to be made anew without sin, but currently we have sin and we're very broken and we're very flawed, imperfect reflections of the perfect God. And you see that come through a lot with church. That's why here at When Church Hurts, we want to be a bridge, not a church replacement. We want to be an encouragement for those outside of the church to seek who Jesus is.